Joining us here in the Pick Sports Line is now Matt Humbert, the head football coach of the Belle Vernon Leopards, whose team will face Hickory on Friday night in the PIAA semifinals. And Coach, nothing like playoff football, nothing like playing a game in December. You got to be awfully excited.
Absolutely. You crave it. You look forward to it. It's your main motivation from really February on. The rhetoric of, first off, playing and practicing on Thanksgiving is always something that you really strive for, and then being able to progress it into December. We always preach we want to win games in November, but December is that ultimate goal. But it's a benchmark. You need to win the one before you can win the other, and it's just hard to believe that we're already at that stage of our season.
What's been the key? I mean, your program has always been good, but it's been great the last 2 years. What's changed?
Well, I think we've been very fortunate since I've been here, we kind of average about 9 wins a season. And we've had a ton of semifinal appearances. We've had 2, when we were 4A, we had 2 WPIAL championship appearances in 19 and 21. I think it really starts with the consistency of my staff. I mean, my staff's been with me for almost 10 years, 90% of them. So I think when you have that consistency in place, it just makes, a lot of things more transitional, and it makes a lot of things consistent. So I think that's a big part of it. I have a really strong senior class. Sometimes in the past, in 2021, we had 6 seniors in that class. And even last year, we only had really 5. So this class boasts close to 20 kids, and they've been successful all of their careers. So when you got classes like that, you're already going to have a leg up. The kids and the coaches are a main reason for the success. And when it comes to just the nuances of football, we've been healthy. I think one key thing is health, and I think that kind of gets underrated when you look at successful teams in big games like the ones that we're in. Every year, really since 15, we've had kind of an artery-blowing injury, and that's not an excuse. That's just the nature of it. I've been very lucky, very fortunate that we have avoided, big injuries over the past 2 years.
How's the feeling different this year from last year? Winning a state title for the first time, obviously, is a moment you'll never forget. But now the bullseye on your back. How has it changed?
I don't know if it's changed. I think there's more of a. I hate to use the word comfort because it's a word that we despise around here, but I think there's more of a level of understanding of how this process works. When it gets to this point, the long hours, the extra stuff you do, the work weeks are a little different, practicing in 29-degree temperatures and things of that nature. I think they're just a little bit more familiar with that process because it can be long. If you think about it, we played 15 weeks last year. That's pretty long in the longevity of a season. So I think that's there and that's consistent. But I think just every week it's my job to make the narrative different, make the narrative the same in the same retrospect of that. You can't really just focus on what you've done. It's unfortunate. Winning a district championship in southwestern Pennsylvania and District 7 is extra special in my mind. But it's unfortunate that you really can't focus on that because all the attention needs to go to the next opponent. And I have kids that I think are good and adaptable to understanding that process.
When I started my homework on your team, obviously Quentin Martin's name jumps off the page. But then as I dig into it, it's clear to see that your team is more than just one player. Tell us a little bit about your team and what makes it so special.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of hands on deck. I've been blessed that, I've had really good tailbacks at Belle Vernon, and this year is no different. I got probably 4 kids deep that can all tote the rock pretty well. And that's obviously Quentin, Jake Jetico, and Cole Doppelheimer. Braden and his contributions are just huge. He can run it, he can throw it. And we put a lot on Braden's shoulders. He's a big decision maker out there from a pre-snap standpoint, deciding if he's going to throw it or run it on probably about 60 to 70% of the plays. And then we just got a lot of contributions from different people. Adam LaCarte is probably the best safety I've ever coached. And he's a stalwart on defense. You got Anthony Cruz, who's just dynamic and explosive, and he had a heck of a game in the WPIAL championship. We got consistent line play. I think that's a key. This year, we only lost one offensive lineman last year, So we have pretty much 3 starters / 4 part-time starters that returned in that respect. And, we just got a lot of good kids on defense. I mean, everything we do starts with the defense around here. That is the priority for obvious reasons. And we got some really good ones this year.
What's the most underrated part of your team, Coach?
I would say, I don't want to say it's our secondary and our linebacking core, because I've been very vocal from pretty much June on, kind of beating that drum of how good those kids are. I think offensively, we've been a lot more collectively in sync this year than we were last year. And we weren't bad last year by any means, but I think this year, that collectivity is evident with how we do things. I would have to say the kind of underlying people that don't get a lot of credit, and I think that's always the case a lot of time, are the linemen. The linemen have done a good job this year, and especially a kid like Luke Breyer. Luke Breyer had a monster game at defensive tackle versus Avonworth, and he is our center. He's been our center for a second straight year. So I think that kid is probably the epitome of a guy that flies below the radar with all the other guys with the accolades, and the line's done a pretty adequate job thus far of propelling us to be able to get the ball to those different kids.
And we're talking with Matt Humbert, head coach of the Belle Vernon Leopards, whose team will face Hickory on Friday night in the PIAA semifinals at North Allegheny High School. Coach, you've had a few days to digest the Hickory Hornets. Obviously, if they're playing now, they're a very good football team. Give us your scouting report.
Yeah, I mean, they're good. I mean, that's the the kind of bittersweet aspect to everything. You can't really focus on, what just happened. I mean, you have to turn that page 24 hours later, because no matter who's playing in the state of Pennsylvania right now, they're a good football team. So, they're dynamic offensively. It's probably one of the better group of receivers that we've seen all years in terms of the collective, in terms of 3-4 kids. Very explosive, very fast. The quarterback's solid, and anytime you get a kid that can run it and throw it the way he does, that's always a big point of emphasis for you. And that's also a big challenge. They got some good linebackers. Number 6 is a pretty good football player. And the tailback, obviously, as well, is someone that stands out to you from a film standpoint. So I would say that the biggest thing that sticks out to me when I watch them is just they got great team speed on offense and defense. Safety play is very active. So we'll have to account for those safeties in the run game and the pass game. They're just fast, and they're athletic. They seem very athletic on film. So we have a big challenge ahead of us, but it's a big opportunity as well.
Just a couple keys in your mind, do you feel right now on this Monday that Belle Vernon will need to do to win on Friday?
I think we got to neutralize their big splash plays. We can't. We got to be very tight and solid in our secondary, making sure that we don't have guys screaming open, making sure that we're carrying backs off the backfield and things of that nature. And we have to be able to contain the quarterback. The quarterback just can't freelance and run because whenever he's given that opportunity, he typically stings defenses. And offensively, we just got to be able to protect the ball, and we got to kind of stay consistent to who we are. We kind of a take what they give us thing. We have enough, I think, weaponry that we can do different things with different kids in the perimeter and the box. And, if they're kind of dedicating guys to spread units, then we got to obviously be able to run inside, and vice versa. If they're overloading the box, we got to be able to throw. So I just think offensively we have to be consistent and not turn the ball over. And we really got to limit penalties. I mean, if you watch the Avonworth game, ironically, that probably could have been a high 38, low 40 scoring game for us offensively, because we had almost 10 penalties offensively that just crippled our drives and put us into third and fourth and extra longs. So we have to avoid that. We have to take care of the ball, and we got to be mindful of their athleticism on offense and defense.
This is the second time, Coach, I will cover a Belle Vernon game. The first and only time was 1995. Belle Vernon played Sharon in the state semifinals. I know you're younger than me. And Sharon beat Belle Vernon in double overtime in the state semis in one of the great games we've ever covered. So hopefully Friday matches that. Obviously, we appreciate your time and all your assistance, and we wish your team the best of luck.
I appreciate that, Bob. Take care, man. Hell Mighty Leopards.